To the Honorable Rick Brewer, Chairman and members of the Hawkins County Board of Commissioners, in regular session met this 26th day of April 2021. Resolution reference to approval of speed limit change and weight limit restrictions for Jimtown Road. Now, on paragraph 2 and 3, there's going to be a little bit of a change. The committee decided to make that change, so I'm going to read it as it's changed, and you can, instead of making amendments and all that, you can just change it on your, if that's okay with everybody. Whereas the state of Tennessee allows the counties to set the speed limits county, on county roadways, and whereas the road committee met on April 4, 2021 and approved a speed limit change on Jimtown Road to 25 miles per hour for trucks, 15 miles per hour for commercial vehicles. And that's what the change is, that change to commercial vehicles. Paragraph 3, whereas the committee also approved weight limit restriction on Jimtown Road to 10 ton with an amendment to allow a truck over 10 ton with an amendment to allow a truck over 10 ton, and it stops there. I'm not interested in that. Therefore, be it resolved that speed limit changes and weight restrictions be approved on Jimtown Road. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I believe on that last paragraph, Commissioner Thacker, that we was in agreement that it would just say the committee also approved weight limit restrictions on Jimtown Road of 10 ton, and it ends there.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I may, I'm gonna need to step down and let, Commissioner, Barrett take over. I'm gonna need to make an amendment to this, so if you would just preside over the rest of this, Commissioner Barrett, I need to amend this by saying that this will be a temporary resolution until a engineering study can be done on this road according to her, and the reason for this, and that's what the amendment needs to say. And the reason for this, we have been advised by our attorney that CTASC asked that an engineering study be done on anything that would be permanent. So we'd like to put a temporary, for that temporary now until we can make it permanent legally. So does everybody understand that this resolution will be a temporary resolution, and then after the engineering study is completed, then we can come back and
make it permanent,
or
not,
or decide not to.
Yeah.
Right.
Amendment made by Commissioner Brewer, second by Commissioner Roach, that this is a temporary resolution until an engineering study can be completed as advised by CTASC. When completed, a decision will be made by the commission.
Yeah.
Correct?
A permanent decision will be made.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have discussion on the amendment as presented?
Yeah, thank you.
Commissioner Barr?
Okay, I guess what I'm concerned about with the amendment is, will all this work cease that this guy's proposing to do, so that we don't have to worry about him going in and doing things while this is being studied? And also, if we put a tonnage on there, who's gonna monitor that? You know, you got a road here, if you look at your pictures, that there's a truck on it that, if you were a car on that road, there's nowhere for you to go. So would all work cease from the proposal that this gentleman is making? And I also would like to recommend that he actually give you a written proposal of what he's proposing to do. Because so far, he's tried to go across 2 pieces of property. He's proposed to do cabins. He's proposed to build a bridge. He's proposed to do a rock quarry there. So, you know, I think we need to know what he's gonna do before we move forward on anything. And I think all work needs to cease on anything that he is proposing till this engineering study is done, and then him bring a proposal to us to let us know exactly what it is that he is trying to do.
I can answer the first part of that question. The first part of that question, the purpose of this amendment does take care of the weight limit. There will be a weight limit if this passes, as of tonight. And that would protect the road, providing, your second question, if we can get somebody to enforce it.
You know, my main concern is the road. That's the main thing. As far as enforcement, I can't do it. I don't have authority to do it. It'll have to be probably done by the people living on that, and they'll have to call the THP. The THP has got a truck to burn out with weight devices on it, I guess you call it, that can weigh a truck. If we got 10 ton on there and he's overweight, then, but the trick is to catch him. And I don't know who can monitor that other than the people that live actually on the road. Unless the highway patrol will go down there and stay sometime.
Lowell has took, the best he can do with the roads, and his concern is, and he's got a legitimate concern, but until we get the engineering study done, our attorney advises us that we can only do this as temporary measure. And if we can do it temporary to keep from tearing the road all the pieces now till we can do something permanent, that's the purpose of this amendment. And Lowell can tell you about what's going to happen if they break that road off.
The road is, the stone down there is the same thing that's on the mountain over here on 66. It's that old sandstone, it's not strong. And if that road falls off, and we've done had shore up one section of it already where the lake has eroded it, and it's just about 10 foot wide. And if that goes into the lake, we're gonna be hauling material for a long time to get those people out there. And, we just fixed a slide up here on Mountain View, and I had $16,000 in it. So I can't, and as many water problems we got now, if we had something like that on top of this, it would be bad. I probably couldn't afford it. Some areas down there, it's probably 75, 80 feet straight down. So you can imagine how long it would take and how much material it would take to build that road back and how long. And those people have just got one way in, one way out. That's the big concern. The big concern's always been, when I went into office, we went in there and widened that road and chip sealed that road. And we widened it to the point we began to get concerned about rock slides. And it being that sandstone, so we widened it as much as we possibly can. So that's my concern. And people living in there, they're concerned also with getting out of it. If one of them in there had a heart attack and there's no road in there, how are they gonna get them out? And safety with the trucks. There's one section when I go in there and I come out, I don't let no grass grow because I don't want to meet nobody. I try to hurry. I can't go in there and just continue to dump money into that road with what's going on in there. And I talked to Mr. Long once, got the property back there, and it was my impression, what he told me was he was going to build a road to join 11W. I said, that's great. We need that. We need that for those people in case of an emergency, in case we have a rock slide. Well, evidently that's not what's happening. So I agree with Ms. Barker. We need something in writing, what the intent is, and what we can do.
Okay. Mr. Bill Sanders, have the floor, sir.
We found out that there were going to be some activities going on down at the property at the end of Jimtown Road, which Mr. Long bought for Long Excavating and Hauling. For months, he was not forthcoming about what he was going to do. He told me, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. We don't pay $400,000 for a piece of property and start building the road and not know what to do. A good businessman's not gonna be in business wrong by doing that. Finally, he alluded to he was going to put in for gravel to be mined. And at one time in discussions with him, he and my wife and I, he told us that he would be running 200 trucks a day through that road on there. And so therefore, that caused some significant concerns for our neighbors here. And four things. And some of the areas don't touch on what the commission can do, but they do involve Hawkins County and the people here. The first is the safety of our families who use the road. As you see from the pictures, it's very narrow. I thank you for driving the road this morning because that's something we see on a daily basis. The destruction of the road and the required maintenance for the county. It's going to be very costly for you to maintain. The destruction of a local and a nationally recognized historic treasure. I know that does not fall in the purview of the commission, but it involves Hawkins County. And I'll talk to that just briefly. And then finally, the impacts upon our personal property and the values of our property.
The amendment is that this is a temporary resolution until an engineering study can be completed as advised by CTAS, and then a permanent decision will be made by the commission.
Okay, everybody understand the amendment? Ready to vote? Okay, cast your votes on the amendment.
Commissioner Housewright?
Yes.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
18 yes, 1 no, 2 absent.
If we change the weight restriction as written in the resolution and we talk about enforcement, if those trucks continue in and out of that road and that this company continues to damage that road, will the county be liable to fix the damage that those trucks are creating as a result of them breaking law? Or will that company be on the hook for breaking that road down because they're violating law?
If they violate the weight restrictions and it can be proved that damage is caused by that, then I think you would possibly be able to try to sue them for the damage.
So the county would have standing then to recoup any money that company any damages that company
If you can
creates.
prove it now, just from the mere fact it happened wouldn't be enough.
Thank you.
If you don't do something tonight, that road, we tore all the pieces within the next month before we can meet again. And that's why my amendment was to try to take care, put something in effect immediately to where that we could protect the road until we can get something permanent. And we can't, according to our attorney, we can't do this permanently and it be legal. Well, I guess it'd be legal, but it'd be question about whether.
Well, you'd want to have something to back it up if you will permanently, and that's why CTAS recommends an engineering study.
But if we don't take action on this tonight, that road is gonna be all to pieces, which is already falling apart. It'll be all to pieces before our next meeting.
Yeah, I have a two-part question. Roy, when can you have signs up? If we pass this tonight, when can you get the weight limit signs up? In the morning. All right. Now, do we need to notify this gentleman about this some way? Somebody mentioned a cease and desist. Do we need to let him know what's happened so he can't say that, well, I didn't know that, or is that something we can do as a commission, or is that would the road sign do it?
Speed limit sign should tell him that.
I understand that he should, but I break the speed limit every now and then. Don't that. Being notified about it, I just want to give it any more teeth. Well, does somebody need to notify him, basically, what action we've taken to help keep legal standards? Could you do that, Mr. Phillips?
I could, or the road superintendent can notify. I mean,
You will.
he could probably do it quicker than I could, I'd have to dictate later and mail it and everything else.
Well, it's not gonna hurt to do that. I mean, you know, we might as well go ahead and tell it.
So, in order to get it done by tomorrow, I'll have to verbally tell them.
Yeah.
Okay, questions, any more discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion. We temporarily make it to single axles until we get the engineer study.
And now, you wanna make that as an amendment?
A motion.
As a motion.
Amendment. To make it single axles until we get the road study back, engineering study. Well, if this amendment passes, unless he's got a single axle truck, he won't be able to drive on it anyway, so.
I understand that, sir, but my question is who's going to stop him from doing it? And if I want you to know, Mr. Chairman, I'm for every bit of this, but we need to curtail and stop it.
Okay.
I would say this, we've got a fine sheriff's department. And if we pass this last amendment that's been put on here, it's easy to tell whether you got a single axle truck or a double axle truck. So if the county officers are down there and there's a double axle truck on there and there's a sign there that says no double axle trucks, I believe they'd be in violation and our county officers could write a ticket for that. Right now, we're just trying to take care of the problem temporarily and let the road committee and Mr. Bean, and let's do this engineering study, and then once everything's done, we'll try to solve the problem permanently. And I call for questions.
The vote on the amendment that we're about to vote on is to limit to single axle trucks only on Jimtown Road until an engineering study is completed.
Okay. All right, everybody cast your votes.
Commissioner Housewright?
Yes.
19 yes, 2 absent.
Now we go to the first amendment.
Resolution as amended.
The full resolution as amended.
Right.
That's what we're voting on right now.
Okay.
Commissioner Housewright?
Yes.
Thank you.
You down?
19 yes, 2 absent.